Okay, so I took a few notes before we got started. Because I went through your website and I found it really interesting, especially this is the first one that we just happened to match on kind of our interests in a lot of ways. Um, but there's a number of questions that I'm going to go through that are kind of standard, and then a few that branch off, if that works for you.
Yep.
Um,
However you want to take this, whatever way you want to go, let's do it. I'm an open book.
yeah, so kind of after going through your website, I want to know kind of how you decided that content creation was the method that you wanted to use to kind of get your message across. Um,
Just because content creation is, you kind of have to pivot where the people are going. And the people in my age group, which is, I would say, primarily 18 to 24, but veering off a little bit earlier and later, they're all hanging out on TikTok, Instagram. I've never really gotten to the Instagram thing. Like, I've always just done my own thing and not really used it as a branding avenue. But I use TikTok for that. And I have found that to be really successful in reaching people of this age group. So I am a motivational speaker in high schools, colleges. That takes a lot of different work. That isn't content creation as much because I'm reaching administrators and higher up people. But in terms of getting my message out and building my brand, content creation was, you just have to do it.
yeah, so kind of off that same line of kind of questions, do you currently view content creation as kind of a way to kind of generate income, or are you still building your brand? How um how do you kind of see that transition taking place, or did it take place for you?
Yeah. Well, my brand is continuously being built. Even though I've been in business for 4 to 5 years, I've only been profitable for just over a year. So things are really in the incline for me right now, and really seeing this thing take off has been awesome. So to answer your question, I see content creation as a business opportunity. I see it as a way to make money. If you look at my TikTok, you'll notice I don't post a lot of personal stuff. Not that I don't want to. Maybe I'll get into that on a different page, or sometimes I'll put little spurts here and there, but I simply want to build a business. And other than that, don't want to be on social media very much. That's me. Don't get me wrong. I spend my time scrolling, and I love seeing other creators just making me laugh and taking their businesses and whatever to the top. Um, but more so than an avenue of expression, I express myself in ways in my personal life and with the people I love, and I use social media for as an income source.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And then kind of more specific to writing and that kind of content, are you are you looking at kind of potentially having some more longer form stuff? How are you looking at using Kahana? I guess would be a question I would.
I also do want to add something really quickly to what I said
Yeah.
before. Content creation and monetizing my content, that's all great and lovely, and I love being able to monetize the things that I like to speak on. But I also, more so than that, love making an impact, because my mission statement is to change the lives of 1 billion teens and young adults. So it's kind of both, and I wanted to just like set the record straight that I'm not
100%.
giving your money and I'm not going to give you anything in return. No, I wouldn't continue to do it if I didn't love seeing the changes in my audience's lives that they get as a
Right, right.
result of consuming my
Oh, you
content.
got it.
So how do I see Kahana? I have had a lot of different startups, software companies and stuff reach out to me and say, "Hey, can you use my platform? It's going to be, the next big thing." And even though the founders of Kahana didn't say it's going to be the next big thing, and they were looking for creators to use their platform, there was something about the platform as a whole that really intrigued me. And I'm going to say it now. I was the first one to say, what is that? I was the first one to say it's basically OnlyFans for education, because people are paying for access to, as they say, your brain. all of the content that you've created over the years, where you're at now, where you're going. And so I'm like, OnlyFans for education. That's that's how I view it, because um it's true. People are getting access to the behind the scenes work. And we often idolize people we see at the top, but to be able to follow along someone's journey and see what's working for them, and then maybe when they pivot and being able to take them on this ride with you, I believe can make such a greater impact and bigger connections with my audience.
100%. I couldn't agree more. Um, and I kind of think that a really good follow-up to that would be, what are you thinking about, if anything, kind of putting on Kahana first? Do you have any like project notes that you did in the past that you think would fit really well? What are kind of your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so during our brainstorming sessions, me and the founders, we've just been bouncing off so many ideas, and I'm like, have you done this? Have you done that? Can I do this to my page? Can I do that? And they're like, look, you can do a lot of those things, but we're still building all the rest of it. Um, but I'm really creative in that way, and I can just see the potential that Kahana has. And to answer your question, I created a video just like this. Welcome to my page, really bringing them in. Here's what you can expect to see, and here's where you can find it. So a little getting started guide. And then I put in a package that I already make and sell separately called the Adulting Bundle series. And anybody who joins my hub, they just get the whole thing. We talk about personal finance, credit, investing, all the fun stuff that makes us jump out of bed in the morning, right? And then mental health and how to navigate therapy and medications and stress and all that stuff, and then moving out, grocery shopping, things of that nature. So that's all in there, and I plan on uploading more pre-done content that my audience can take and use as they please. And then on the other side, I've started to create little tabs for weekly updates, community chats, what's the latest tip in mental health today that Gen Zs need to know about, what's the latest, what's the trend, here's something to keep on your mind this week. And these sort of clickbaity hacks, tips, and tricks that I'm going to be updating on a weekly basis are just to keep my audience coming back for more and excited. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now.
That's wonderful. Um, and I think kind of similar to that, do you have and if not, there's no worries. Do you have a first project? Is it going to be getting excuse me, your kind of course that you already kind of separately have, the adulting course, up first? Is that your goal?
Well, can you rephrase that question just so I make sure I answer it right?
Yeah, 100%. So that adulting course that you created, is that your
Yeah.
goal to get up first? And if you don't have anyone that's going up first, no worries.
Oh, so that one is already up and live and
Okay.
ready to go. So the second they get inside of the hub, they can access it and they can have all of that to themselves. And
Perfect.
really the value proposition in giving them that is, you invested in yourself to get in this. Let me show you all of the ways that being in here can save you money in the long run. And one of the initial things I start by saying is the average American alone wastes $18,000 per year on impulsive buying, on the sleazy car salesman guy telling them what they need to buy in terms of insurance, a new car, blah, blah, blah. Like there's so many things we don't know, and we're getting scammed, all the things. So by making this investment in themselves, I want them to have so much value, so much content that can save them money, help them make better decisions. So in a long run, they can pretty much get that $18,000 that they're almost guaranteed to waste back.
Yeah, almost right away, I would say. So that's awesome. Um, on a different track a little bit, one thing we want to bring up when we're telling creators stories is the idea that it's not always easy, kind of like you were saying. You don't just get right to the top, right? So to kind of drive that home, we like to ask, what was your biggest struggle? So I'll kind of pose that to you. When you were starting your own brand, your own content creation, what was the biggest hurdle you had to get over?
Oh, the biggest one by far is imposter syndrome. Feeling like you're not good enough, feeling like I'm never going to be where other people are, so why even start? And my brand is still really tiny. And in the grand scheme of things, I could have a million and two reasons why I could compare myself to other content creators. But I have learned now to stay in my own lane. So the biggest struggle for me was not feeling good enough. And I know it sounds cliche, like something we hear everybody say, but that's because it's so common. And that's why it's important for me with my specific brand to break barriers on what young adults think they should do and just be vulnerable and teach them how to be confident and make smart decisions and believe in themselves. Just be vulnerable, all vulnerability. So the more that I can do that in my content and share that, the more that I'm not, I can relate to them more, and I overcome some of my insecurities and fears, and they can too along the way. And in terms of something that really helped me view my business as something that can't and is becoming successful, is that we look at successful people here on the top of a mountain and we're all here on the bottom, and all we want is to like build this business and impact lives and create financial freedom and stability for ourselves. But the greatest thing I ever heard was the top of this mountain, it's not a point, it's flat. There's room for everyone. There's never going to be too much success to where people can't achieve success. We have more millionaires today than we've ever had before. So the top of the mountain is not a point, it's flat. And there's room for everybody up there. So it's only a battle between yourself. And so that helped me a lot.
That's awesome. And that's really good advice too. I will ask maybe for, if you have it, a second piece of kind of strategy or, thought process for how to look at things, for kind of anything. So I like that for kind of getting over the hurdle of imposter syndrome, but
Mhm.
maybe the day-to-day grind of building an audience, kind of maintaining that creativity and actually managing your time, because it's very different
Yeah.
than when you go into work for a job where you get a list of tasks to do every morning, you knock them out. You're working for yourself, right? So do you have any
Yeah.
kind of strategies that helped you a lot?
Totally. So we all learn differently, and we have to kind of find hacks that work for us. Me, I'm notorious for pressing snooze 5 times a day. And the reason I do that, and it's really hard for me to get my butt out of bed and get started, is because I look at the day and I'm like, "Ugh, I'm overwhelmed. I don't even know what to get started." The easiest thing for me to do is to not even have to think about making that decision. I'm going to press snooze and then I'll deal with it later. I don't like it when I get into those zones. So I have to find little hacks that help me with that, which is I believe every morning routine starts the night before. I make myself a list, and I even write it or put it in my Google Calendar of everything I need to get done the next day. And sometimes I'll even get as micro as I'm going to write down what I'm going to have for breakfast tomorrow so I don't have to make that decision. The simpler we can make things, the less decision making that we can do, the more successful we will be. Bring things down to a level of simplicity. And that also helps me with consistency, which I would say is the hardest part about continuing to grow an audience. I was posting 2 to 3 times a day, which is how I was able to grow the following that I have now. And then naturally, I feel like we all kind of do this. We veer off and we stop doing it as much. And then we're like, oh, well, I don't have any video ideas anyways. Then how were you posting 3 times before a day? You had video ideas then, but we kind of like get in these loops in our head where we feel like, I don't need to do any more work. That's a lie. You got to do work forever. So I find a hack for that. And that hack would be things like using an online free headline generator where you can put in a keyword like adulting or a keyword like stress management or depression, and it will generate hundreds of catchy titles and topics that you can use for your videos. There you go. You have 100 different things you can talk about. Make a series on it. So I would say consistency and bringing things back down to a level of simplicity so that decision making is really easy and it's easy for me not to fall off. And those are just my tendencies. If anyone out there, if your tendencies are different, find those little hacks. My last hack, the Pomodoro study method. It keeps me focused on the work that I'm doing, even if it seems mundane and I don't really want to do it. You work for a 25-minute period followed by a 5-minute break. Even if you feel like you can work longer, this will prevent burnout, increase productivity, and it's like a little game you can play with yourself. Check it out, Pomodoro study method.
I will. I like that. And I totally agree. Decision fatigue is a killer. Um,
That's the word.
yeah.
Decision fatigue. It really is a killer. Like when I talk to people, like my clients, for example, and they're like, my goal is this, and this. And I talk them through all of these goals they want to achieve in a short period of time. I pretty much have to tell them that's great. But the reason we're here today is because you've been trying to reach goals A through K on your own and you haven't been able to do it. It's too overwhelming, but you're still in that same pattern of feeling like you can do a ton all at the same time. So granted, I believe that you can. Let's start with one decision. Like let's start with one push-up. Oh, you can do one? Great. If you do more, that's just extra credit. But we're just going to start with the first thing so that we can have that little dopamine rush and our brain is telling us, oh my gosh, I can't achieve something. I'm not a total failure. And then we can just go on to achieve more and more and more. Start with the first decision.
I really like that. And then to kind of switch gears here a little bit, are you working on any project that kind of new that you're super excited about? Are you putting together any courses that you're really excited about? Now would be like a really good time. We can kind of get them into the article we're going to write and maybe get you
Yeah.
some good traffic too.
Yeah, so I have an online program called Life After High School. The slogan is a mentor in your back pocket, and the goal is to bridge the gap between what we're taught in school and what we actually need to be successful in adult life. Now, the hub is different. The hub, there's some little like tips and tricks and hacks and weekly updates and community forums and stuff like that, and then some products that I put in there. But this is an all-inclusive going over the primary areas of adult life that people want to know about: personal development, the science behind goal setting and achieving, the science behind building self-confidence and keeping the promises you make to yourself, morning routines, night routines, and how to craft one that works for you, finding a mentor, resources and accountability. We even have a LinkedIn expert who comes in and teaches you how to job hunt effectively and use SEO and LinkedIn to get your first jobs, resume writing. So that's professional development. And then we go into finance too, and creating a budget and helping you set up a path to early retirement and financial independence. Personal development, professional development, mental health, medications, anxiety, trauma, eating disorders, social media and the impact, the rise of social media, mental health, physical health, which nutrition and fitness, and then relationships and life skills. So how to navigate toxic relationships, how to rebuild relationships with your family, self-defense. Anybody who's a part of Life After High School gets access to a personal self-defense course that was taught by my old trainer. So that's really helpful for people going to college or people who just want to learn skills on how to defend themselves, right? And then moving checklists, moving out for the first time. Like there's a lot going on, and I could get into it, but it's really your get started with adulting guide and answering the questions that will frustrate you because no one taught you them. That's going through a renovation right now to make it even better. I launched it once. I'm getting ready for a second launch in the next month or two, so that could be good for people who want to get on a waiting list for that. We can talk about that and the links and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I'm working on a one-on-one coaching program, which I already have some clients enrolled now, and it's young and successful. And it's taking people with a goal and a dream and helping them through one-on-one coaching live out that dream. And then they also get the science behind goal setting and achieving and other relevant lessons. So that's a one-on-one 16-week coaching program.
That's awesome. And then my last question, at least that I have queued up, is going to kind of revolve around the field of mental health, the field of kind of goal setting, everything about that. A lot of people struggle to set themselves apart, right? It's kind of, it feels like when you first start in it, a very dense field. How did
Yep.
you find the best way to kind of set yourself apart to kind of be unique in that field was?
Oh my gosh, I know it's so easy for like easier said than done, right? To just not give a flying about what other people are doing. Like if you have room to compare yourself to others, and you have room to even judge other people, envy other people, then you need to get busy. You are clearly not busy enough. You're spending too much time scrolling. You need to go and unfollow every single person that you follow. Look, they'll be fine without your follow. You don't need to follow them because but I love this influencer, but they have the nicest bikinis. No, you just feel bad about yourself when you look at them. That's what's going on. And you need to take a good look at yourself in the mirror and be honest. So I would say do a social media cleanse, unfollow everyone. That's what I did. And it doesn't have to be permanently, just temporarily, so that you don't focus on what other people are doing. Any way you can cancel out the outside noise and keep yourself in your little box, do that. And then it helps to have a plan. A lot of people get stuck in this comparison game because, again, they're not seeing the struggle that people go through. They see the outcome. Another reason why I like the hub. So people see that we didn't all just wake up one morning and we were highly successful. They see success stories without seeing the decade of work that they put in beforehand to make their first 100K, to make their first million, to finally be clean and sober, to find the love of their life and manifest their dream, whatever it is. You don't see the work that people put in to get themselves in a position to get that. So we need to, and that I could just go on a tangent about this all day too, and you can cut me off if I'm talking for too
Oh,
long.
you're good.
You you need to stay in your lane. I had to learn that, and more also in within the same importance, I needed to have a game plan. That's what I was trying to get at, is people who compare themselves to other people, they don't really know what to do or what steps to take. So they're like, I'm confused. Like I don't wake up and I'm excited because there's a huge learning curve. I'm scared. Get a mentor, get a coach, follow people who genuinely inspire you, and get to work. And that's all you got to do.
I love that. Um, that covered kind of the majority of topics I wanted to get to, and you answered awesomely. One of my fears always when I interview people is that I'm going to get short answers. So I think
Um,
this gives me a great amount to work with kind of when I'm going to kind of sit down and write this. I'll definitely reach out to you before anything is published, of course. Just as a rule of thumb, I like to do that. So people get to look over it, make sure that it's kind of how they want to sound and come across. This is by no means a gotcha piece. It's what we kind of want everyone to benefit from. Kahana, yourself, me, everyone.
yeah.
So is there anything else you kind of wanted to mention that you'd like me to focus on? Um, yeah, leave it a little
I
open.
just want to let everybody out there know that there is no success without failure. We need to fail in order to succeed. And in fact, if we do fail, that's awesome. We just figured out another way not to do something, which means that we are one step closer to doing something. I would say the best tip I could give anyone is just to immerse yourself in a community of people who are like-minded. Like I said, find that coach, find that mentor, find people who inspire you, feed your brain with positivity and motivation every single morning. And, enjoy the journey, because the journey, gosh, I sound so just cliche, but the journey's all you got. Don't wait for a day to be happy. You can start today. On that note, can I say one more thing too?
100%.
One of my great mentors, Ed Milet, I love him to death. You should check him out if you're somebody who's looking for some motivation in your mental health or in your business life, or want to achieve. He said that whatever your goal is, sobriety, um, a good relationship, a business, whatever your goal is, ask yourself, why do I want to achieve that goal? What is the feeling that I believe will come my way by achieving this goal? Because often maybe it's typically not the goal that we're trying to reach that is our end all be all. It's the feelings that are associated with that goal that we feel like we will have or feel in abundance as a result of achieving that goal. Why do I want a business? Because I want to feel fulfilled, and I want to feel proud, and I want to feel accomplished and happy. That's what I'm really after, is the feeling that's associated with whatever materialistic goal that I set for myself. So ask yourself, okay, how can I start to feel those feelings today? Because it's possible. And we can use this as a tool to hack our emotions and hack our brain. So we're not holding on so tightly to this end goal that we just cannot be happy, cannot feel any sense of accomplishment or fulfillment until we reach that goal. So ask yourself, what's your goal? Why do you want that goal? What feelings are going to come as a result of that goal? And how can you start to feel those feelings today in abundance? That will help you reach your goal faster. If you can learn how to get those tiny little senses of accomplishment in your sobriety journey, that's going to keep you going. Even if you happen to relapse, that's going to keep you going, because you set yourself up in a place where your happiness is inevitable, and it's not tied to, if I fail and if I'm not sober by like X date or tomorrow, I'm a failure and I can never be happy. Like that's not realistic. So try and find those little opportunities. That was long. I'm a talker.
No, you're good. I love that. That is perfect. I always think I have everything I need. If I need anything else, I'll 100% send you a follow-up email. But that was awesome. Thank you so much for sitting down with me.
Yeah, of course. No, it's been a pleasure, and I really enjoyed your questions too.